Thank you very much, Kirby. So before I dive straight in, just to give you a quick outline of where we're going to go today, one of the first things that we're going to do is just cover a very high-level overview of business analytics and EPM reporting, sort of a 101 class. After that, we're going to dive into on-prem and cloud EPM reporting, talk about that a little bit, talk about how folks could migrate on-prem EPM to the cloud before we transition over to the business analytics BI reporting side of the house and talk about the on-prem and cloud options over there. And then we'll go into a conversation about migrating on-prem BI to the cloud before we take some time at the end to answer any questions that hopefully you come up with as we go through this. So the first thing is to talk through a couple definitions. So how is business intelligence defined? So at the end of the day, the objective of business intelligence is providing users, whether they be senior executives or business analysts, with information about strategic, operational, and tactical performance indicators about an organization. And this information, from a technology-focused perspective, is typically based on historical data. So you can imagine we're capturing information in an ERP system and presenting that up. So a specific example might be taking information from an e-business suite general ledger and producing an operational report for accounting, or taking out of the general ledger sort of strategic high-level P&L information about a company's performance. And the value proposition really is that you're making efficient use of your data. So you're capturing that information at the transactional level of detail, manipulating it, summarizing it, aggregating it, slicing and dicing it to bring additional value to it. And it's also a way to report and analyze data outside of the ERP system and even information that you'd find in your EPM system. So what is EPM? So EPM is really the linkage between an organization's long-term strategic plan and the short-term tactical processes that you typically find, like with a budget or a forecast, a long-range plan. So you can imagine the leadership team is sitting down and they're coming up with where they want to be in 5 to 10 years. EPM is one of the vehicles that helps enable that. So the strategic plan sets these long-term objectives. Management teams sit down and say, okay, well, to achieve those objectives, we need to do these 5 things. And to enable these 5 things, we're going to budget for them. And then as we go through the year, we're going to reforecast and see how closely we align with our objectives. And if we need to commit more capital to make that happen, let's do that. So EPM, again, is really about managing that linkage. And in that space, there are a whole bunch of tools that help with that. So up on the slide here, you can see we've taken actually good representation of the industry from Oracle, and we've laid over some of the products. So you can see in the world of strategy management, on-prem, you have tools like Hyperion Strategic Finance. In the cloud, that's bundled in with a product called Enterprise Planning and Budgeting Cloud Service, or EPBCS. You have the more straight planning and forecasting process, so that annual operating budget, that rolling forecast. On-prem, that's enabled by a tool called Hyperion Planning, which has been around for a long time. And much of that same functionality and feature you find in the cloud in PBCS, which is Planning and Budgeting Cloud Service, EPRCS, which I will talk about later, which is an enterprise reporting cloud tool, and then again EPBCS, which is that enterprise planning and budgeting cloud service. You can see that right here, EPBCS contains some functionality that PBCS doesn't have, and that's because it's that enterprise suite. You also have tools to help manage the financial close. That's the traditional stalwart financial close and consolidation, or HFM, which many folks out there use today. And the newer cloud versions of that tool, which is the financial close and consolidation service. There's also modules for tax.